country with 54 million people can't go to the Olympics and come back with one medal. That is unheard of.
Dilemma in South Africa as teams which qualified for the Olympics find out they may not be in Rio de Janeiro for the Games. We'll be telling you why shortly. Hello and a very warm welcome to Matchpoint here on CCTV Africa, the program that brings you African sports news, features, action and highlights from the continent and beyond. I'm Mahe Mutua. Also coming up this half hour, we take a look at the Nigerian under-17 success story as they prepare to take on Minnows Mali in Sunday's final. And the Egyptian Special Olympics gold medalist surpassing his own expectations in horseback riding. Well, now the row over the Olympic qualification criteria rages on in South Africa, with many federations up in arms and several have now started petitions or are considering pursuing legal options to get their respective teams to the event in Rio next year. But for many of them, this could be a futile endeavor as the criteria was decided upon by all federations involved beforehand and put in place following those discussions, meaning that if teams did not meet the criteria, they would not go even if they sought qualification through the continental route. CS du Plessis now reports.
The South African Sports Confederation and Olympic Committee President Gideon Sam says there's going to be heartbreak for the likes of the South African men's and women's hockey teams, the gymnasts, as well as the South African women's sevens team. He says the criteria for qualification for the Brazil Olympics is very clear and it has been signed off by each sports federation. He says the ultimate goal is to improve on the medal tally from the 2012 London Olympics.
Now, over the years, we've come to realize, especially after Beijing, the Olympics in Beijing, where we came back with one medal. When I came in after Beijing, I said, guys, we can't carry on like this. A country with 54 million people can't go to the Olympics and come back with one medal. That is unheard of. Let's change a couple of things. And of course, the thing that we changed immediately was the criteria. How do we actually get onto that plane to go to the Olympics? Is it because the Olympics is for everybody to come and enjoy, or do you really want to perform? I am in the process now of putting down my foot and ensuring that let us first learn the process of performing and performing well.
Sam believes it's about quality over quantity and sending the athletes with the best chance of winning medals to the Olympics in order to benefit Team South Africa, as well as doing the nation proud. He says they're there to win medals and not just make up the numbers. CS du Plessis, CCTV, Johannesburg.
Well, now staying with Rio 2016, rugby sevens will make a debut at the Olympics in 2016, and Africa will be represented by two countries. South Africa has already qualified after finishing second in the 2014-2015 Rugby World Series, and the second ticket will be up for grabs when 12 teams contest the African Rugby Sevens Championships in South Africa next weekend. Kenya are favourites to win the ticket, and as Celestine Karone reports, the country believes it is on the path to recovery after a tumultuous season.
Ready, press, eh?
Kenya's Rugby Sevens team is putting the final touches on an intensive one-week high-altitude training program in the country's North Rift. The team is getting ready for the Olympic qualifiers, scheduled for South Africa next weekend.
The lungs were hurting the first 2 days, but so far it's been very good. In the last 2 years, we've been going to South Africa, all the way to South Africa, just to look for good grass and a conducive place to train in. It is in Kenya. We don't feel homesick while you're here.
The side is nicknamed Shujaa, meaning hero in Swahili. But they haven't been very heroic in the last 12 months, finishing 13th, its lowest position in over a decade at the World Series. Coach Ayimba, who returns for a second term in charge, is the man tasked to set things right.
We are tightly woven now, and that is where the problem started. The seniors are were very separate from the younger guys, and nobody was learning from the other.
There were a lot of challenges that we faced in the last season, and we're working to address those issues and ensure that we're in the best place possible.
One of the challenges that the union faced was a fractured relationship with some senior players and past management in the national seven-side setup.
What we've done in the last 3-4 months is make sure we have communication with the players. I met them 3-4 times and tell them this is where we stand, this is where we're going, this is what's available, this is what's not. And then people are able to make informed decisions.
We have decided as players to put everything behind us and focus on what is ahead of us. It's a qualifiers. It only comes once and we want to be on that Olympics. We're here as a team. We have made all of the sacrifices that we can make. We're training very hard and we're waiting for that result. After the Olympic qualifiers, we can know what's ahead of us.
19 players are currently in training, with only 12 set to travel to Johannesburg. Winger Willie Mbaka is looking to reclaim his place in the team. The 25-year-old is back home after being away for 2 years, playing in France and South Africa.
I can say I've learned a lot skill-wise and understanding the game more. But it's more 15s and 7s and 15s different. But I can say I understand more of the game.
Zimbabwe and Tunisia have been identified as the teams likely to give Kenya their biggest challenge in the competition, where 12 teams will be vying for the sole automatic ticket to Rio. Kenya has been a beacon of rugby sevens in Africa and a rising star on the international sevens circuit. But a dip in form these past 2 seasons and problems at the Kenya Rugby Union has left this position under threat. Now these players are looking to restore some pride by qualifying for the Olympics. Celestine Karone, CCTV in Nandi Hills, Kenya.
Meanwhile, Zimbabwe's sevens rugby team, which has been touted as Kenya's biggest challenger, is also stepping up preparations for the competition. The Cheetahs will hold a training camp at the High Performance Center in Pretoria from Sunday.
Zimbabwe coach Danny Hondo has named his final squad for the crucial qualifiers, where an historic berth for rugby's debut at the Olympics is up for grabs. He has used 2 recent sevens tournaments, the Safari Sevens in Kenya and Safland Sevens in Namibia, to get his charges limbered up and to settle on the final 16, which includes at least 7 foreign-based stars.
I think our skill level has been way better and we've been improving. Yeah, probably one, I'll say, weakness will probably be our physicality. And I think, players that have brought in will add that physicality. So I think if we cover that physicality and our skill level, I think we'll be good. We'll be good to go.
As usual at most international tournaments, Zimbabwe's biggest challenge is expected from Kenya. The East Africans are the only core team in the competition.
We'll go there wary of them, but I think we just got to go game by game, get through our pool stages, then we'll work through to the final.
11 other countries are participating in the qualifiers. The winners automatically book a spot in Rio, while the second-place team will go into an international playoff. Zimbabwe is already in celebratory mood after the mighty Warriors, the women's national soccer team, qualified for the Olympics last month.
Is that putting added pressure on yourselves to be able to make it there as well?
We are hoping that we'll be the second team that's going there. So I don't think it's pressure. It just actually motivates us that, one team's made it, why can't we?
It might well be the inspiration this team needs.
As the date with destiny draws closer, Zimbabwe Sevens rugby team is hoping to convert this practice, and more practice into perfection on the pitch. Farai Mwakutuya, CCTV, Harare, Zimbabwe.
Right, let's take a quick break here on Match Point, but there's plenty more still to come, including we'll be taking a look into the Nigerian under-17 success story as they prepare to take on Minnows Mali in Sunday's World Cup final. Welcome back. Now, it will be an all-African Under-17 World Cup final after both Mali and Nigeria picked up 2-goal victories in the semi-finals of the tournament. This marks only the second time in the tournament's history that two teams from the continent feature in the final. Let's now take a look at the route both teams took in the knockout round.
The Super Eaglets first stayed on course to defend their title at the tournament with a hard-fought victory in the quarter-finals over Brazil a week ago on Sunday. 3 first-half goals from the West Africans were enough to see off their South American opponents. Victor Osimhen claimed his 8th goal in 5 matches before Kingsley Michael and Udochukwu Anumudu found the net to make it 3. Mali, meanwhile, continued blazing a trail through the tournament, sealing progression to the first ever last 4 position in the Under-17 World Cup. A first-half strike from Sekou Koita was enough to see off the Croatian opponents as the West Africans set up a semi-final against Belgium, who beat Costa Rica. The semi-final stage saw the African teams further their progress to the finals. Nigeria were forced to dig deep and were a goal down against Mexico when Kevin Magana scored. Captain Kelechi Nwakali scored through a free kick to put the Eaglets ahead, and the West Africans were soon ahead courtesy of a shot from Orji Okonkwo. But Mexico wouldn't go down that easily, and Diego Cortés stepped up to produce a contender for goal of the season to level things at 2-2. But Nigeria kicked things into gear and were ahead with 23 minutes remaining before Victor Osimhen scored his 9th goal of the tournament to send Nigeria into the final 4-2. Mali too were on the back foot in their tie against Belgium. Dan Terrigo scored his 2nd goal in 2 games to put the Europeans ahead on 16 minutes. But Mali was soon level. Ali Male crossed for Boubacar Traoré, who made it 1-1 after 22 minutes. Mali then went ahead in the second half thanks to a goalkeeping error. And the Malians sealed their victory and progressed through Sekou Koita for a 3-1 win to join Nigeria in Sunday finals. Wazir Khamsin, CCTV.
Right now, joining us for more on tomorrow's Under-17 World Cup final between Nigeria and Mali, here is CCTV's Deji Badmus, who joins us live from Lagos, Nigeria. Deji, on paper, it looks like Nigeria are favourites to claim their 5th title. Can they get past Mali in tomorrow's final?
Well, Mahia, speaking as a Nigerian, I would say yes. But to be candid, speaking dispassionately, I would tell you it's not going to be an easy fight at all. When 2 African teams meet at the global stage, it's always a very difficult one. Nigeria has had a very good tournament so far, and getting to this stage has not been easy, but doing very well. So I expect that the Golden Eaglets would definitely get past the Malian teams. But when you look at the Malian team itself, I mean, it's a team that plays like a team. You just can identify a single player as the main anchor person of the team. You have, different players who are stars in their own right. You look at the number of goals the team has scored. It's actually shared among about 4 or 5 players in that team. But you look at the Nigerian team, it would appear the team is built around Victor Osimhen, who, of course, has the highest goals now, the highest number of goals in the tournament. But we'll just wait and see how this goes. The expectation is that Nigeria here is that Nigeria would get past the Malians. Both teams were supposed to meet in the African Championship, but it didn't happen. Of course, Nigeria was knocked out, and Mali went on to clinch the African Championship. We'll just wait and see how the game plays out tomorrow. But I expect Nigeria to get past Mali, especially considering the fact that Nigeria has won this tournament 4 times, and this is the very first time Mali would be getting to this stage in the tournament. Mahia?
Indeed, Deji. Nigeria, of course, have won it 4 times, and they are facing the underdogs Mali. But what's the mood like in Nigeria ahead of tomorrow's final?
Well, the expectation here is that of optimism and, of course, expectation that Nigeria is going to win is going to beat Mali. By how many goals, we do not know. But, you know, we've had commendations from the presidency, from the parliament, and from the NFF. Everyone encouraging the guys to go out there tomorrow and lift the trophy. So there's this general expectation here. Before now, you know, people didn't actually give much attention to the tournament. But when the boys advanced to the quarterfinals and then the semifinals, and now you have the finals, people started picking interest. And now there's expectation here that Nigeria would lift the trophy for the 5th time. But then, you know, you never can tell. Mali could just pull a surprise. It's an African team, and so anything can actually happen. That's football for you, Mahia.
Well, indeed, everyone is paying attention now. Deji, talking about African teams, they do seem to dominate tournaments like this at the Under-17 World Cup level. But why is it that they can't seem to replicate this at senior level?
Well, that's the $1 million question nobody has been able to provide an accurate answer to. I've actually spoken to a lot of football analysts on this issue, and it actually beats my imagination why Africa has just not been able to translate its success at the lower level of football now to the higher level. You look at Nigeria, for instance, the national team, it's occupying 59th position in the latest FIFA World Ranking, and of course not doing well at all. It's even not among the top 10 in Africa. So it's actually a surprise. But what most people have said, what most football analysts have said, is that part of the problem is that there is no defined system of graduating from the under-17 to the national team, and that football coaches do not give these young guys the opportunity to really come up. They just think they're too small. For instance, I'll give you a typical example. Kelechi Iheanacho, who plays for Manchester City. It took a lot of pressure for Sunday Olise to invite him. Now he's in the team that will be playing Swaziland in our next match. It took a lot of pressure, even though that guy has started playing for the first team. So most times we just consider these guys to be too small, and the coaches at the senior national team just don't invite them. Other than that, another reason is that most times these boys just simply fade away after playing in the junior levels. They just don't do well. So we do not have that progression. You know, they play well at the under-17 level, probably play well at the under-20 level, and then after that they just simply fade away. But then people will tell, most analysts say, there needs to be a system in place that allows these young boys to move progressively from the under-17 to the senior national side. That, as a matter of fact, they don't really need to play for the under-20. You could actually, some of these boys could actually, after coming back from this tournament, could actually be invited to the senior national team to actually start playing for the senior team. You know, give them that exposure at this young age so that when they are fully grown, say when they begin to approach 18, 20, then there will be established stars in the national team, and then you'll be able to build the national team around them.
All right, Deji, thank you very much for that. Can the 4-time winners beat the first-time finalists? All will be answered tomorrow in Chile. That was CCTV's Deji Badmus joining us live from Lagos, Nigeria. Well, staying with football, a new African club champion will be crowned on Sunday when TP Mazembe of the Democratic Republic of Congo host USM of Algeria in the second leg of this year's final. Mazembe come into the fixture on the front foot after winning the first leg 2-1 in Algeria last weekend. DR Congo's richest and most powerful politician, former Katanga Governor Moise Katumbi, offered his support for the team ahead of the clash. Despite Mazembe winning the first leg in Algeria, Katumbi, who is the club's president, insisted that the latter were not underdogs and that the home side will be favorites to win. Now, if TP Mazembe do become the 2015 African Club champions, they collect $1.5 million in prize money and secure a place at the 2015 FIFA Club World Cup in Japan, while also taking home the title for a 5th time. Now it's time for us to take another short break. Still to come. Egypt's Special Olympics gold medalist surpasses his own expectations. That's in horseback riding.
Usain Bolt's in town. We've got a rugby version. I'm not sure what sort of a dance that is.
Tiranish Dibaba of Ethiopia wins 10,000 metres gold.
Lewis, well done. You're an absolute legend.
Now, a young Egyptian has won gold at the Special Olympics held in Los Angeles this year. Mohammed El-Garbi had challenges, but he never let that affect his dreams. Now that he's a world champion, he has only one wish, and that's to meet Egypt's head of state. CCTV's Adel Mahroui has more from Cairo.
From the shadows of a sport far from the Egyptian spotlights rises a new champion. Mohammed Assam was born with a mental disability, but he never let that limit his dreams. He always took bigger challenges than his capabilities, and this summer he was awarded the gold medal in the 2015 Special Olympics in Los Angeles.
I was expecting to come second, third, fourth or fifth, but first place, no. I had trained very hard, but the competition was very strong, beyond my imagination. Yes, in Egypt we are strong, but not as strong as foreign countries.
He lives his life as a normal person, compensating his limited achievement in education with sports, moving from swimming to horseback riding. When he found his passion, he fought for his dream.
Every person has a strong side. For Mohammed, it's sports. It gives him confidence. I never realized that in one day he'll be able to go out on his own, to go to the club and come back home all by himself. To me, this was like a dream coming true. So thanks God, he doesn't like it when there are things he can't do.
That's why lately Mohammed has started show jumping. It's not a category in the Special Olympics, but to Mohammed it's a challenge he must master. He's trying to do whatever it is in his capacity to achieve another dream.
My dream is that El-Sisi would honor me for this achievement. I wish I could meet him. If I was Abu Trika, wouldn't he? I am here. Come salute me. My lifetime dream is to shake his hand. I don't know why the media is focused on football and ignoring horseback riding. In what way is Abu Trika better than me?
Chasing his dream of becoming a normal person, Mohammed kept looking for the perfect sport until he found it. And with persistence and his strong will, he managed to become a world champion, bringing Egypt a gold medal and extending beyond his dreams to become an exceptional sportsman. Adel Mahroui, CCTV, Cairo.
Well, finally, once again on Sunday, Nigeria could win their 5th Under-17 World Cup trophy when they face fellow African side Mali in the finals of this year's tournament in Chile. As such, on this week's Matchpoint Top 5 segment, we count down the 5 most successful African teams in the history of the Under-17 tournament. At number 5, a one-time 4th-placed finishers, Guinea. The West African nation put on its best performance in 1985 at the inaugural edition of the tournament in China. Then the team managed a 4th-place finish, losing 4-1 to Brazil after an impressive run at the tournament that saw them lose in the semi-finals to eventual winners Nigeria. 4th on our list are Burkina Faso. When the tournament was still known as the Under-17 World Championship, the West Africans went all the way to the semi-finals of the 2001 event in Trinidad and Tobago, beating Spain and Costa Rica along the way. A 2-0 win over Argentina saw them earn their best ever finish and a 3rd-place medal. Third are fellow West Africans Côte d'Ivoire. The 1987 third-placed finishers are level on accomplishments with Burkina Faso, but feature one higher on our list by virtue of having made 3 other appearances at the World Cup. Besides 1987, where they beat Italy after extra time to finish 3rd, the Ivorians also featured in 2005, 2011 and 2013, where they reached the quarter-finals. Ghana have 5 under-17 medals to their name and one of only 2 African teams to have won the tournament. Champions in 1991 and 1995, the Black Starlets also finished as runners-up in 1993 and 1997. On top of that, a 3rd place finish in New Zealand in 1999 and 4th place in Korea 2007 means they and Brazil are the only teams to have finished in all top 4 positions on offer. And finally, the most accomplished African team in under-17 World Cup history, Nigeria. The Golden Eaglets won the inaugural edition in China when it was still officially known as the FIFA Under-16 World Championship, and repeated their feat just 8 years later at the 1993 edition in Japan. Further wins in 2007 and 2013, coupled with 3 runners-up medals in 1987, 2001 and 2009, make Nigeria not just Africa's most decorated team in under-17 World Cup history, but also globally. Well, that rounds up this week's edition of Matchpoint. Remember, as always, we'd love to hear from you. You can send your feedback to matchpoint@cctv.com or visit our Facebook page, which is CCTV Africa. Stay in touch with us on Twitter. The handle is @CCTV News Africa. Thanks for watching. I'm Mahir Mutua.